Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we will be discussing about parallel processing. On this week's what tutorial video would you like to see next on the channel? Parallel processing got more votes, which is this. Let's go ahead and see what I've done to this mix parallel processing wise, and then I'll try to explain a bit further because when I think of parallel processing, I think beyond the typical parallel processing most people refer to as New York compression, because a lot of engineers, they always think of parallel processing as just compression. But for me, I actually think of parallel processing whenever I'm sending original signal to an aux to blend it in. For me, that's considered as parallel processing. Let's look at this. Knowing also that a lot of plugins have now got this mix knob, which is also parallel processing, that you don't actually have to now send the signal off to an aux to actually parallel process. So on this particular mix, if you look at this PZ string, I've actually got Smasher on it. This is what it sounds like in isolation. But as you can see, I've actually crushed the compression, but I'm only blending in 15%. So if I go ahead and leave this the way it should have been, which is 100% wet, now look at how compressed it will sound. As you can see, this is grabbing all the transients from this PZ that is not sounding like a normal pizzicato will sound. But because I'm only blending in just a bit, which is only 15%, you can notice it. It now sounds normal, but it helps this pizzicato actually push forward in the mix and stay right in your face when it's coming in. So let's have a listen to it now in the mix. So if you realize when I turn this on, it actually helps the pizzicato more or less stay constant right in your face. But when I push it off, certain notes are not heard clearly. Pay attention to especially this bass that are not big on the waves. Maybe actually soloing this will help us pick it up easily. The effect is very subtle, but at least listening to it here on my headphone, I can actually notice the difference. Remember, in mix, usually this little difference here and there goes a long way. So the next one is the drum, whereby I've actually bussed this kick to an aux, and this is what I've done with it. If you've watched my previous video about mixing kicks, I actually showed this, but this is the parallel processing on this particular kick. I've got a compressor, an EQ, and also a limiter holding it off. Let's have a listen to it without the parallel processing. Definitely putting this in, you notice that the kick got more prominent and hits more on the chest. So it's obviously got to do with the compression grabbing the body of the kick, and also the EQ helping to push it even further out of the speakers. So what again have I got here? Let's actually look at this clap as well. I've got this on it, which is another parallel processing. If you notice on the main clap, I didn't have anything because it sounded good as I would want it, but I wanted a bit more of the body. So I decided to just use parallel processing. So this is just a compressor, obviously pushing the body up front with all button in. And then I've got this EQ just pulling a bit of the mid-range so that it becomes a bit more prominent right in your face. So the effect, like I said before, might be subtle, but it does go a long way. So let's actually try to do something now that we are on this tutorial. I've got all the backing track bushed to this particular aux. So let's solo it here. My life together. As you can see, it all sounding as it should. That's how I got it on this particular mix. But let's see what we can do parallel processing wise to actually brighten this a bit more further and push it further up front without just turning up the volume. So if I go ahead and send this to an aux, send all of them there. Always remember that when you are doing parallel processing, especially when you're sending it to an aux, not doing it directly, always choose pre-fader so that whenever you change your fader, it doesn't affect what's being sent to that particular processing. So if we go to our mixer and pull up that 16, now let's go ahead and throw an EQ. Actually, let's go with a distressor compressor here, as I've got this on already. Bearing in mind with distressor, you can also do wet and dry here, but because we're on a bus, we will leave it all dry or wet actually. So let me go ahead and crush this. Together. Come back, come back, come back, come back. We belong together. Who else? Who else? Who else? Now let's also go ahead and throw in a limiter actually to help crush this further. My life together. I've selected nuke, which obviously helps crush it even further. Bearing in mind, this is parallel processing, so we're not touching the real backing track. This will be blended into the original. Let's also put an EQ. Come back, come back, come back, come back. We belong together. Now let's look for the ESA. Who else? Who else? We belong together. Who else? Who else? My life together. Together. Come back, come back. So now let's go ahead and blend this into the original. My life together. Together. Come back, come back, come back, come back. We belong together. Who else am I gonna lean on when times get right? Who's gonna talk to me in the phone till sun comes up? Who's gonna take your place? There ain't nobody better now, baby, baby. We belong together, baby. When I lost a part of me, it's still so hard to believe I'm back, baby. Please go, come on, together. So I don't know if you notice any difference with just us putting this parallel processing together on this particular channel. When I did this backing vocal, I wanted it to just sit back and almost feel invisible. But now that we've added this, I actually love what it brought to the table. So think of parallel processing not just about compressing. On this particular lead vocal also, if you look here, I've actually got this flux on the lead vocal, which is adding a bit of wobble to the lead vocal, making it sound interesting, which I've blended in slightly. So to me, this is also kind of parallel processing. Let's have a listen to it.
Need you back in my life, baby. When you left, I lost a part of me. It's still so hard to.
By the way, this is a free plugin you can get from Yum Audio. It's called Flux Lite.
Need you back in my life, baby. When you left, I lost a part of me.
As you can see, when the whole sound is playing, you won't notice such thing, but now that I've slowed it, you could actually see how that movement is also helping help the vocal ride the wave of the other instruments. I don't know if that makes sense, but there it is. If you have any more question about parallel processing or you have any question about mixing in general, don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to also check out that community on my YouTube channel where I post what tutorial video you'd like to see next on the channel, so you can vote for what video you want to see on the channel. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. See you guys in the next video. Bye now.